Welcome to Star Stuff World Building, a bi-weekly podcast where we design a fantastical world and discover a compelling story within it. My name is Lee.
And I'm sick. But my name is Alan. And this is episode 2, Floating Islands, Part 1. These islands float, float, float.
Welcome everybody to episode 2.
I'm still sick, so I will hopefully edit out the sniffles.
Oh, baby. Poor Alan has been sick all week. He's had a fever. It actually wasn't that bad. It was like 101, but he was on fire. I couldn't find an actual thermometer, so I had to get a meat thermometer and stick it in his mouth. Oh, roommates, don't listen to this part.
Oh my gosh. You know Jack listens to this.
Oh yeah, he does. That's fine.
Anyways. Let's get to today's agenda.
Yes.
So today we'll be going over the geography of our world and go into specifics for 2 of our floating islands.
Oh yeah. We'll start by telling you about the world as a whole. We'll go over an island, giving you an idea of the climate and environment. Then we'll go into the specific biomes and then play a little bit of an improv dice game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then we'll do the same for the second island. And yeah.
So we do have a video up on our YouTube channel where we work on making the map together.
It's so much fun.
We use rice. It's super cool. And so if you want to check that out, check our YouTube. It's linked in the description.
Yep.
So with all of that funny business out the way, let's get started with the episode. In the last episode, Lee and I talked about the 5 different magic pairings.
Yep.
And with the floating islands, there's like 5 floating clusters of islands.
Yeah.
Each one is associated with one of these magic pairs. So one is Cloak Cast, one Share Steel, one is Hum Hush, and then the other 2 that I don't remember right now. But that's okay, because I'm trying my best.
That's fine. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So there are floating islands, and I'm sure you're wondering, what about the rest of the world that isn't floating?
Unfortunately, the rest of the world is currently uninhabitable.
It is super, super hot and super barren.
Yeah, and we're not even going to worry about that part of the world right now. However, if you do want to see what everything looked like before the island started floating, go to that YouTube video that we discussed earlier. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
And basically, like, before the islands were floating, we will give you guys, like, the know-how, the knowledge, the insight that this world was pretty tropical. Like we said, we're partially inspired by, like, that Central American, Caribbean climate. Part of the reason why we want to bring up the extreme heat and barrenness on the bottom is because we were worried, well, if these islands are floating, does that mean they all have to be like super cold because of the Earth's atmosphere? Or however, because like I know heat rises, but like it's also cold on mountains.
When I was telling Alan, like, I'm kind of worried about the altitude and how cool it's going to make everything. And he says, but heat rises. And I'm like, baby, that's not how it works outside.
But heat does rise.
I mean, yes, but not like indefinitely. The higher you go, the colder it gets.
But heat rises. That's like the main thing about heat.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, so since it's normally colder the higher you go in the atmosphere, and I don't know the exact reason why. I'm not a scientist, and I'm not trying to be a scientist.
That really doesn't make sense because the sun would be closer.
Okay, Alan, we're moving on.
Okay. But we're saying that because we don't want to have to make all our places super cold, super chilly.
No.
So with these actually being risen up, there are some of them that will be experiencing like more moderate temperatures.
Yeah. Honestly, the entirety of the planet, I think we can discuss this some more. I feel like the entirety of the planet will have a very similar climate overall. And then the individual islands will just have a difference in humidity, and that's kind of what's going to change everything.
And the crystals will definitely have their effects on
depending
climates.
on the crystals themselves.
Exactly. Like, spoiler for later in this video, one of the islands will super be affected by its crystals.
I wonder which ones.
They don't even know which ones we're talking about today.
That's fair. Yeah, but while we're on this topic, so normally on a planet you have an equator, which we still have, I guess. But
yeah, we have an equator. I want an equator, so we got one.
Went and bought one at the store.
Exactly.
But, so our islands are actually not stationary, which means they're not affected by like their location on the planet. I guess they would be. I guess it'd be seasonal.
And they're not going like super speedy, like think about how like with the Earth's rotation, they're like it's always moving this many miles a second or a minute, and you don't feel that while you're on the Earth. It's like the same with this island where it's like
be able to feel it.
Constantly moving, but you don't feel it. So that's really the basics of the five. Not the 5 islands.
Well, just like of the world as a whole. So that's like kind of the idea, is that we have these 5 clusters of islands that are kind of just like moving around the Earth.
Yes.
That's just the flat out basics. So now you know what we're kind of going for, and now we're going to dive deeper and go into a specific island chain or island cluster.
Yeah. So can we start with Casting Cloak?
Casting Cloak. Yes. Apparently this is the what'd you call it last time? The sinister
one,
the spooky,
yeah, the
sinister
spooky,
one.
sinister, scary skeletons.
Yes, which is not like at all what I had in mind, but I love that your mind went there, so we can play with that.
So for the super biome, basically, if you are looking at the map we made in the video, this is the area with the large lake and the 3 thin little lakes by it. That area with the large lake and the thin little lakes, that's a lot of wetlands.
Yeah, it's wetlands, it's rainforest. This is a very humid part of the map. Oh, and since we're talking about the map, go ahead and keep it in your minds now that basically anything in our podcast is subject to change later in these episodes. That map is already not accurate.
Yeah.
Like, those lakes, I think we kind of decided we wanted to be more of like a river.
I don't remember that, but I'm sure we did.
I say a lot of things to Alan, and I say so many things, it's hard for like us to keep up with it. So I might even contradict myself within this episode.
We're going to be retconning retcons.
Retcon. But I mean, that's the beauty of this. We really are building a world, and you guys are coming with us throughout the whole process, except you're not seeing the arguments, which is the best part.
We don't argue. I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
What the heck are you talking about?
What the heck are you talking about?
So, yeah. So this is a very humid portion. If you want to kind of see it in your head, kind of think along the lines of the Amazon rainforest. It's not a perfect analog at all, but it's kind of the like climate idea we're going
like
for.
Amazon rainforest, but also there's wetlands like right next to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like kind of like within it.
Like within it, like intertwined.
Intertwined, yeah. Like I see these mangrove forests and like the big jungle stuff all over the place.
Okay.
And also, I feel like there's probably a few plains areas. Like clearings, but like fairly large ones.
Okay. So then I know you prepared like a super specific area before you worked on this that like would take place in the cast cloak. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Okay, so the area that I've come up with, I'm calling the hidden steps. So I want you to just kind of imagine a corridor with you're just like standing in the middle of like 2 like mountainsides. Okay. So I want you to think like right above your head, there's like these 2 kind of like plateau type thingies. Now these plateaus are actually going to reach and touch each other, kind of forming an actual tunnel, like an open-ended tunnel. But then above those plateaus, like I don't know how many feet, not doing specifics, but above those you have another like plateau set, and they're further back, and they just keep going further back and further back until it's just the tip of the mountain. So it kind of looks like a mountain with like plates jutting out of it, and they just come back further and further and make like a V shape, sort of. Just like the closer to the top you get, the smaller the ledge is. Okay. So if you guys will remember with the casting cloak crystals, whenever they do a specific thing or they look a specific way. So one of them is like purely black, and is just kind of like a reflective surface. The other one is clear, right? And makes things look basically invisible.
I think the black one made things invisible.
Right. You know what? Actually, I don't think I want to go ahead and decide exactly which crystal is going to be affected by, but one of the crystals specifically is going to be growing out of like just everywhere. So whenever you look up, you're either going to see if it's the cloak crystal, you're just going to see black above you. So it's kind of always going to look like night when you go under these things. But what's cool about them, the further down you are, the less you're going to see above you. You won't be able to see anything above you. Well, you'll be able to see things above you. You just won't be able to see the steps above you. So my vision is that people are living on these, and the ones at the very top can see everybody down below. And the people down below can't see anybody at the top.
So it's almost like the invisibility crystal, making it so that you like can't see above you almost?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I hope I did the imagery like justice. It's so hard. This is going to be like the hardest part, is just like describing these things.
I'm sure you'll draw a picture
I'm
of
gonna
it
try,
to
yeah.
like better explain it too.
Guys, I'm not like the best artist, but I love like doing concept art. We're gonna like, I did post a picture of the hum and hush crystals on Instagram if you want to take a look at that. We're gonna be posting a few of those here and there, but I'm gonna do a bunch for our Patreons or for our patrons.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was my idea, or for this specific sub-biome of the cast and cloak region.
Okay, that's really interesting, and I love the like kind of like the hierarchy that might come with like being the higher up one.
It creates like a natural like caste system.
You know, I love me some caste systems, and I love me some social classes.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
I don't know what that means.
It's interesting, but anyways, it's time for our first dice game. So this time we'll both be playing the game together. So we're going to be rolling 4 dice, and based on what we roll, we'll decide what kind of feature we are creating in this cast cloak island cluster, whether it's like mountain, river, or like a beach. Then we're deciding which one of the island's magics affects it. We'll be talking about like a miscellaneous category, and
like
then
a special trait or a feature of the.
Yeah, and then how people interact with it.
Yeah.
So
ooh, I'm excited.
I think I will roll first.
That's fair. I don't know if you guys like, if you made it to the end of the last video, this was my favorite part because it's like a little random thing and it's improv and I love it. Okay, roll those dice.
No whammies, no whammies. Okay, so first we are doing a mountain.
Okay, and this is in the cast cloak region.
Yes, and it uses both cast and cloak.
Okay.
And then, add another D10.
Ooh.
So it's a mountain and it's a lake.
Okay. So what? Okay.
It has to incorporate a mountain and a lake, and it is sparsely populated.
Okay.
My first thought is the wetlands. And like,
can mountains be in wetlands? Because like wetlands are like specifically like low elevation.
you gotta hear me out first.
Okay, go ahead.
So what if there's like a lake or like a puddle, but it's like a lake because it says lake in this wetland, or like a series of lakes with mountains that are in the lakes with like little peaks coming out of the mountains, but that aren't really much higher than like 1 or 2 stories.
Are they like stepping stones?
No, imagine a really deep lake
Okay.
with a mountain coming from it.
How big is the mountain?
The mountain can be as big as the lake is deep.
So how much of the mountain is showing?
Not a lot.
Okay, so to an outside viewer, it would just look like a tiny piece of land in the middle of the lake.
It looked like a little pointy point. I don't know why this is so complicated. I think it's a brilliant idea.
That's not a mountain. That's just another piece of land.
There can be mountains underwater.
Yeah, but if it's a lake and it's just at like the lake level.
That's still a mountain.
What? It's not okay, we can go on like this forever.
let's say it's a mountain.
Okay, we'll call it a mountain.
Because I'm pretty sure it is. You guys, please let us know if you think that still counts as a mountain, even if only part of it is coming above.
Actually, Alan, I have a really good idea. We can do that. But the mountain is, let's say it's a very large lake. Actually, if you look at the map, there's a huge lake in the center of the Cast Cloak region, right? So let's say there is a huge mountain in the middle. But remember, this has to use both magics. And what does the middle magic do?
Like the projecting the
It projects
image.
it from below. So does it just look like
so there's like the little point in the lake, but the magic makes it look like there's like a huge mountain in the lake.
It's a huge mountain, but it looks like water. Because that's what the middle one does.
It makes it look like...
It takes something, it takes an image and it casts it inside of itself.
So...
It's going to look like a huge mountain of water.
Oh.
How's that?
That's cool.
That's nifty.
And so then if it's sparsely populated...
I mean, I would imagine if you just think it's a big... Like, it would kind of look like a waterfall that just like is like a point in the air and just rushing down, right?
Well, it probably wouldn't even look like the water is going down. It would probably just look like the water staying there.
I guess it depends on what the water looks like, but it would still be like have some sort of life in it.
Yeah. So I assume there's probably like maybe the mountain is like covered in these like combined crystals of Cast and Cloak then. And that's why it's just projecting the water as its outside image.
Yeah.
And then because of that, there's probably not many people living there.
I imagine they would just think of it as like some really like what is like a natural wonder almost.
Yeah.
Because it's like this weird thing that no one like you wouldn't be able to understand that. I mean, I guess they probably would because that's like their magic and they would. We don't know how much they're going to understand of this, to be fair.
Yeah. So I guess maybe some people just live there because like it is a big mountain, so I'm sure there are lots of resources there.
Yeah. Also, I don't know that the entire mountain, like every inch is covered with these crystals. So it may be like the huge mountain. And I keep saying mountain. It's probably like not like an actual mountain, but more like just a large rock formation in the middle. Mm-hmm. But it'll look like maybe like patches. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's super cool.
I don't know if the logistics are all sound on that, but I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's something that I'm super interested to like keep looking into and thinking about. Let's move on to the second island cluster for this episode, which is the Share and Steel cluster.
Oh, yeah.
So for a quick recap, the Share and Steel is kind of like the heat and cold magic. And basically the super biome, as we're calling it for this island, is there's like two parts of this one island, and each part has a volcano in the middle, where before they were probably normal volcanoes, but now the heat side still has its volcano that's still like heaty, but then the cold side has like a more snowcano.
It's an actual snowcano.
Exactly. And then around these volcanoes are little like atolls, like little barrier reefs.
Yeah, if you don't know what an atoll is, just Google it real quick. If you're driving, do not Google it.
If you're driving, ask Siri to explain it to you.
Yes.
Also, the like outer ring of this island is sort of like mountainous, and it's keeping in all the like ocean water.
Yeah. So let's clear imagine it's not a circle, but just imagine it to make it easier on your eyes for now.
Two eggs that are together.
Two eggs that are together on the very outside of this island, the very outside of the eggs.
The shells.
The shell of the eggs are basically a mountain that's like a bowl.
Yeah.
And everything inside of the mountains, there's just like a bunch of water. Like
we were calling it like a saltwater basin before we realized that that's not what a basin is.
It's not.
But we still really like it, so we colloquially.
I'm not going to get onto your pronunciation because one of our viewers got on to me for that with the etc. thing.
Yeah. But we colloquially call it the Saltwater Basin. I'm trying. I know you are. I know.
But okay, so a basin, although not the technical term for what this is, I think is a good descriptor of what it looks like. Think about a bowl, and we'll go into the details of what it looks like later, but like it's a bowl of water with two big volcanoes and a bunch of islands.
And reefs. And mountains on the edge. Okay. So now I want to talk about my subbiome.
Yeah.
That sound good with you?
Sound good with me?
So I'm going to start by giving you guys a science lesson.
Oh gosh.
So you guys know that there are the 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. But some of you might know about a 4th one called plasma, which is when like the gas gets so hot that it becomes plasma. But there's also a 5th one.
A 5th one
Called Bose-Einstein concentrate. Condensate. Bose-Einstein condensate.
Bose-Einstein condensate.
And this is, you have a solid and you make it so cold that it turns into this 5th element. And you can look it up. There's videos. It basically has to get super close to absolute zero. It looks almost like a gas or like a shining bright light.
Like a star?
No, because stars are plasma. But it's like the cold version of a star almost. All you need to know is it looks kind of
like a ghost.
A ghost, exactly.
It's ectoplasm.
Maybe. Anyways, basically, I want to incorporate this into my little subbiome. So on the cold side of the island, right after you leave the reef, I want there to be a trench, a super deep trench. And as you go down, there's still coral growing from the walls. And there's these, the crystals, is it the take crystals that are called?
Well, the steel.
The steel crystals that are called.
Yes.
And I want there to be coral growing out of the crystals too. And these these coral that are growing out of the crystals will become this Bose-Einstein condensate. Of course, it's really cold. I imagine there's like chunks of ice floating. As you get lower and lower, I'm sure there's less and less organic things, and it's more of just ice, the trench walls closing in on you, the coral, the crystals. And I was imagining at the bottom of this trench, I'm sure people have never reached it. It's like ice, but I imagine if you like pickaxe the ice and went through, you would be at the bottom of this floating island. And
Why
you
did
could
I just
literally
imagine Steve from Minecraft just and then falling into the void?
It's like the bedrock. You have to get through the bedrock, but you can't do that in Minecraft.
Oh.
Here you could do that.
But rewind. So you wanted the coral to be the Einstein's
Bose-Einstein concentrate.
Bose-Einstein
condensate.
The gassy stuff.
Yes.
The fun stuff.
The solid gas.
The solid
cold.
gas. So the coral is like that 5th element.
Yeah.
Where it kind of looks kind of spectrally, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like glowing and bright.
Because I doubt they're going to know like what the heck that is.
Yeah.
So maybe they think of it as like
the ghost,
it's the ghost of the coral.
That's super cool. It's a little Cursula.
Some
Pokemon action.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's cool because that's a good way for them to be able to describe that. But yeah.
But as I was saying, if you went to the bottom of the trench and like pickaxe through, you would literally fall out of the bottom of this floating island.
Yeah.
And then something I forgot to mention is I think this might have like a ceremonial importance to the people on the cold part of the island.
Yeah.
Where if you like touch the coral or like go against the walls where it's cold, you basically are also turning into this Bose-Einstein condensate. You're basically like freezing to death almost.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
Because you said it's like basically absolute zero.
Exactly. So you're basically, I imagine it's somewhere where like if you know you're about to die, you dive down or you make yourself sink down and you just join the wall. So if you were to dive down there, you would see the like almost spectral images of everyone who's, hey, I'm talking here.
We're doing a podcast here. Chill out. Oh my god.
But you would basically be seeing like the spectral images.
Like, what's that thing called? Like what are those things called? A mausoleum.
Yeah.
That actually gives me a bunch of really cool ideas for maybe some of the ways these cultures can like interact with this.
Yeah. I think that'd be super cool.
That's really cool. I love that idea. I love that you came up with it. I think that was a fantastic idea.
Good job,
you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. So now let's go to the second dice game.
Oh yeah.
And this time you get to do this.
Sorry,
that was loud.
So loud.
We're gonna have to turn that down.
My beat. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Wait, can you hear it? This is my favorite sound in the whole world. And Okay.
What is the D10?
The D10 is a 9.
A hill.
A hill.
What is the D4?
The D4 is a 4. No, wait, just kidding. That's not. What is the D4?
It is a 4.
Oh, it is a 4.
So that means this doesn't incorporate any of the magics on this island.
And then the D6 is a 4.
We have to talk about the top of the food chain.
Okay, and then the 3, or whatever that is.
This is an area that they use for like gathering resources, or it's an area where something is needed.
So this is a non-magical hill area. And then we need to figure out the apex predator, or the top of the food chain. So yeah, the apex predator.
And then what resources they're gathering from there. That's tough. Huh.
Well, I mean, this island's basically spanning both extremes, and anywhere it's not an extreme, since they would have to blend into each other, any points in the middle, whether that be the middle magic or the absence of that middle magic, they would blend together to create a temperate area.
What if the top of the food chain is like themselves?
We could do that, but I had a really cool idea. Do you want to hear it?
No, you say it then. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to think about a beaver, but like a big apex predator.
Go on. I'm listening.
That's it. I thought of like a large mammal that has like a paddle tail, something that can kind of like, like fish for itself, kind of like a bear, but with a paddle tail and maybe like with like a beak type mouth.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is then, I think beavers like the cold, so maybe it's on the colder side, but it's not like influenced by the magic there. And maybe because these are tropical islands, maybe they're not a lot of like, maybe like the valuable resources there is like it's for lumber, because like beavers like trees.
Actually, lumber would probably be a great resource area for the temperate areas, because the other areas are going to be either
too extreme for
they're not going to be very vegetative.
So maybe it's like a hilly, maybe this is just an island, a specific island
that just has lots of trees,
that has lots of trees, and it's hilly with lots of trees. But the issue is that these like apex beavers make it like dangerous. It makes it dangerous to go and get these resources there.
Yeah, I think it's a good foundation.
I like that. I'm down for some apex beavers. I always am and always will be.
I love it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was really, really fun, honestly.
So actually, I wanted to bring up, if you guys join our Patreon, you'll get access to our Discord channel. And one of the things I really want is for our patrons to like help us make up these lists for like these random things that we're doing, because we're going to do this every episode with whatever we're working on.
Exactly.
To have some sort of random element that we have to like think on the spot.
Yeah, just don't trip us up too much, because we do that enough to ourselves.
No, I like it. So if you just want to submit some sort of like dice list for us to work on for the next episode, please do. I think it'd be a great way for us to interact with you guys, and you get to see your contribution on the next episode.
Yeah, that's really like the stuff for this episode. Mm-hmm. I feel like we came up with some like really cool places and really cool things.
Yeah.
So in our next episode, of course, we still have 3 more island clusters to go over. We'll be playing more of the dice game.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully you liked it. So before the outro, Lee, do you want to say something quippy?
Quippy? Like what?
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Star Stuff World Building. If you'd like to chat or send in a suggestion, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at StarStuffCast, or you can email us at starstuffworldbuilding@gmail.com.
Please consider supporting our project by leaving a review or becoming a member on Patreon, where you will gain access to a number of member perks, such as joining our Discord and other exclusive content.
I want to throw a special shout out to my brother Tyler for our theme music. Our next episode will air in 2 weeks, so until then, friends, shoot for the stars
and show the world your magic.
Bye!
Mwah!